My friends, tonight I want to speak to your heart, not your head, not your emotions, but the very core of who you are, your soul, because I know some of you are living in fear, some of you are paralyzed by anxiety. You're worried about what's next, your job, your marriage, your health, your future. You lie awake at night tossing and turning, asking, what if? What now? Why me? But I want to tell you something tonight that will set you free. God has already chosen your doors. God has already chosen your doors. Trust His plan. That statement alone, if we truly believed it, would change the way we live, the way we think, and the way we walk through life. We often live as though everything depends on us, on our effort, our timing, our intelligence, our resources. We treat life like a maze of choices, fearing that one wrong turn will ruin everything. But the truth is, if you belong to God, your life is not random. It is not a string of accidents or missed chances. Your life is a series of divine appointments, and those doors you're worried about, He's already chosen them. You see, before you were ever born, God saw every step of your journey. Psalm 139 tells us that all the days ordained for you were written in His book before one of them came to be. That means the open doors and the closed ones, the delays and the breakthroughs, the setbacks and the setups. He saw them all, and not only did He see them, He arranged them according to His purpose. That job you didn't get, that relationship that ended, that opportunity that passed you by, those weren't accidents. They were decisions made by a loving Father who knows exactly what you need, when you need it, and where it will take you. But the problem is we don't always trust Him with the plan. We want to control it. We want to understand it. We want the blueprint, the timeline, the guarantees. And when we don't get them, we start to panic. We start to worry. We think God has forgotten us. We think He's silent or slow or absent, but He's not. He's simply working behind the scenes, preparing the right door to open at the right time. God is not in a hurry, but He is never late. He's not operating on our schedule, but He's always on time. And when the moment is right, no power in hell, no mistake you've made, and no person on earth can stop the door He's already chosen from swinging open. We often get stuck staring at doors that have closed, grieving what we lost or what didn't work out. But what if that door was never meant for you in the first place? What if God allowed it to shut so He could redirect you to something better? Just because it looked good doesn't mean it was God. He sees what you don't. He sees the other side of the door. He sees the motives of people's hearts. He sees the future you're walking into, and He's not going to let you walk through something that will destroy you when He has something prepared that will grow you. This is where trust becomes essential. Trust is not just believing that God can do something. It's resting in the fact that He already has. He already picked the path. He already chose the route. He already saw the destination. And when you learn to live with that kind of faith, you don't have to live in fear. You don't have to manipulate situations or force outcomes. You don't have to compare your timeline with someone else's. You don't have to panic when things don't go according to your plan. Because if God has already chosen your doors, then nothing and no one can take from you what God has prepared for you. Sometimes He keeps a door shut to strengthen your character. Sometimes He delays a door to deepen your dependence on Him. Sometimes He opens a door that seems too big so you'll know it wasn't your own strength that got you through. But always, without exception, His plan is for your good and for His glory. He is not improvising. He is not hoping you figure it out. He is not gambling with your future. He is guiding you step by step, and even when you don't see the whole staircase, He's asking you to take the next step. That step might not make sense right now. It might look like a step backward. It might feel like silence, like waiting, like nothing is happening. But remember this, faith doesn't always look like movement. Sometimes it looks like stillness. Sometimes it looks like standing in front of a door with your hands off the handle, saying, "God, I trust you to open it when the time is right." That kind of trust is not passive, it's powerful, because it says, "I don't have to know what's next. I just have to know who's leading." When you really trust that God has already chosen your doors, you stop living in fear of missing out, and you start living in the peace that comes from knowing you are exactly where you're meant to be. Closed doors are protection, not punishment. One of the hardest things for us to accept in life is when something we hoped for doesn't happen. A door shuts, a job falls through, a relationship ends, an opportunity disappears, and our first instinct is often to feel rejected or forgotten. We think God is holding something back from us, that He's punishing us, that we've failed in some way, but the truth is often the opposite. Closed doors in the life of a believer are not signs of abandonment. They are signs of divine protection. You see, we often think we know what's best for us. We pray with passion, we pursue certain goals, we attach ourselves to specific outcomes, and we convince ourselves that if it doesn't happen the way we envision it, something's gone wrong. But God sees what we don't. He sees beyond the surface. He sees beyond the moment. He sees the path that door would have taken us down, and sometimes that path is not one that leads to life, growth, or blessing. God is not in the business of denying you what is good. He is in the business of sparing you from what will harm you. Just because a door looks good doesn't mean it's from God. The enemy knows how to disguise danger as opportunity. Not every open door is a divine invitation, and not every closed door is a missed blessing. Some doors are sealed shut by the hand of God because walking through them would lead you to heartbreak, confusion, compromise, or spiritual decline. Think about the people of Israel in the wilderness. God led them not by the shortest route to the promised land, but by the way of the desert, the longer route. Why? Because He knew they weren't ready for what was on the other side of the shorter road. There were enemies waiting. There were battles they weren't equipped to fight. So in His love, He closed the easier path to protect them. What looked like delay was actually deliverance. What seemed like detour was divine shielding. Closed doors are not a sign that God is far away. They are often the clearest signs that He is near. They show He is actively working in your life, watching over you, shaping your journey with wisdom and mercy. When you come up against a door that won't open, don't assume God is angry. Don't assume you're off track. Don't assume your prayers are being ignored. It could very well mean that God loves you too much to let you walk through something that will cost you more than you realize. Sometimes He closes doors to strengthen your trust. Other times He closes doors to redirect your steps. And then there are times when the door is shut because He's still preparing what's on the other side. If you walk through it too early, you'll find yourself unready, overwhelmed, or even outside of His will. Waiting doesn't always mean denial. Sometimes it means development. God isn't saying no. He's saying not yet. We need to stop seeing closed doors as failures and start seeing them as favor. Every door that shuts is God saying, "Not this one, not right now, not for you." And we need to learn to say, "Thank you. Thank you for the doors you didn't let me walk through. Thank you for the relationships you ended before they could hurt me. Thank you for the jobs I didn't get that would have pulled me away from my purpose. Thank you for saying no, even when I didn't understand." Because in time, when the right door opens, you'll look back and realize that every closed one was a gift. You'll see how God protected your heart, your calling, your future. You'll see that He was not punishing you. He was shielding you. He was guarding what matters most. And when that realization sinks in, your heart can rest. You can stop fighting closed doors. You can start trusting the one who holds every key. No one can shut a door God has opened. That truth should bring peace to your heart and boldness to your steps. When God opens a door for you, when He ordains a path, makes a way, or calls you into something, there is no force in heaven, on earth, or in hell that can close it. Not people, not circumstances, not your past, not even your own doubts. If God opens it, it will remain open until He decides otherwise. That's the authority of the one who holds the keys of David, the one who opens and no man shuts, and shuts and no man opens. You may be facing resistance right now. You may have people doubting you, criticizing you, trying to push you back, trying to block your progress. But here's the good news: their opinions don't control your outcome. Their actions can't override God's decision. If the door in front of you has been opened by Him, you don't need anyone else's permission to walk through it. He's already made a way, and it's not up for debate. God's favor is not fragile. It's not something that can be undone by opposition. In fact, opposition is often proof that the door is real. When the enemy sees you approaching a divine door, he'll do everything he can to distract you, discourage you, or derail you. But he can't close it. He can tempt, he can threaten, he can lie, but he cannot shut what God has set open. Sometimes the fear isn't the door closing. It's that we don't feel qualified to walk through it. But here's what you need to understand. God doesn't open doors based on your qualifications. He opens doors based on His purpose. If He opened it, it means He's already equipped you for what's on the other side. You may not feel ready, you may not have it all figured out, but He's not asking you to be perfect. He's asking you to be obedient, and don't let your past convince you that the door isn't yours. You might look back and see mistakes, failures, or wasted time. But when God opens a door, it's not because you earned it, it's because He's redeeming it. His grace makes a way where your guilt said there was none. His mercy opens what shame tried to seal. You're not walking through because of your performance. You're walking through because of His promise. There are moments when God opens a door and it doesn't even look like a door at first. It might look like a small beginning, a quiet step, a place of uncertainty, but don't despise those moments. Don't ignore the gentle nudge, the quiet prompting, the unexpected opportunity. If God's hand is in it, that small opening can lead to something far greater than you imagined. People may try to limit you, box you in, or speak against what God has started, but they cannot reverse His decision. They don't have the authority, the promotion, the healing, the breakthrough, the calling. If it's from God, it's secured. You don't have to strive to keep it open. You don't have to fear someone else taking your place. What's meant for you cannot be stolen. What God opens stays open until He says otherwise. This is why you can walk in confidence, not arrogance, confidence, not in yourself, but in the one who is leading you. When you know that the door in front of you was opened by God, you don't need to walk in fear of what might happen. You can walk in assurance, knowing that He goes before you, stands behind you, and walks beside you every step of the way. So stop looking for approval from those who didn't open the door. Stop waiting for everyone to understand or support your move. They didn't open it. God did. And since He did, you can step through it with faith, with courage, and with peace. Because what He opens, no one can shut. Stop striving, start trusting. That simple shift in posture can change everything about how you live, pray, and walk through your day. So many of us are stuck in a cycle of striving, trying to force outcomes, prove ourselves, fix everything, and carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. We live like it all depends on us. We think that if we don't work harder, move faster, and do more, nothing will happen. But striving is not the same as trusting. Striving says, it's up to me. Trusting says, it's in God's hands. There's a big difference between diligence and desperation. God honors faithfulness, but He does not call us to anxiety. You can work hard without carrying fear. You can move forward without obsessing over control. But striving happens when you start to act like your future depends on your hustle instead of God's timing. When you're constantly pushing doors open, chasing things He never told you to chase, and exhausting yourself trying to stay ahead, you're not walking in faith. You're walking in fear disguised as ambition. The Bible never calls us to a life of frantic striving. It calls us to rest in Him, to be still and know that He is God, to cast our cares on Him, to trust in the Lord with all our heart, and lean not on our own understanding. But trusting isn't always easy. It means surrendering control. It means admitting that you don't have all the answers, and that's okay. It means believing that even when things are silent, delayed, or unclear, God is still working behind the scenes. Striving can make you tired, frustrated, and discouraged. It turns every day into a race, every problem into a crisis, and every delay into a defeat. But trusting brings peace. Trusting doesn't remove the challenges, but it changes your posture in the middle of them. It keeps you grounded when everything feels uncertain. It keeps your eyes on God instead of your own strength, and it reminds you that His power is made perfect in your weakness. God is not looking for you to perform. He's looking for you to believe. When you trust Him, you stop trying to manipulate situations to your advantage. You stop obsessing over timing, over outcomes, over what other people are doing. You start to let go of what you can't control and place it in the hands of the one who can. Trusting doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing what you're called to do and letting God do what only He can do. Some of us are striving to open doors that God hasn't unlocked. We're applying pressure in places where God has already said no. We're exhausting ourselves trying to make something happen that He never asked us to pursue. And all along, He's saying, if you would stop striving and just trust me, I would lead you to what's already yours. There's peace on the other side of surrender. There's rest when you stop trying to outrun God and simply walk with Him. We have to understand that trust is not passive, it's not lazy, it's not giving up. Trust is active faith. It's saying, I will still move forward, but I will not panic. I will still show up, but I will not fear. I will still believe even if I don't see results today. That kind of trust frees you from the constant pressure to figure everything out. It frees you from needing everything to happen on your timeline. It frees you from comparing your journey to everyone else's. When you stop striving and start trusting, your focus shifts. You stop trying to make your own way and start following His way. You begin to walk in step with His Spirit instead of sprinting ahead in your own strength. You start to hear His voice more clearly because the noise of anxiety begins to fade, and you start to notice the doors He's actually opening, ones you couldn't have created on your own. Because when God opens a door, you don't have to kick it down. You just have to walk through it, and you can only see that door clearly when you've stopped striving long enough to trust the one who leads you. Faith means walking through the door, not knowing what's on the other side. That's the very nature of trust in God. It doesn't come with a full map, detailed instructions, or the comfort of knowing every step before you take it. Faith is forward motion in the absence of clarity. It's the decision to move when all you have is a word from God and a sense that He is leading. It's what separates those who talk about trusting God from those who actually do. Too often, we want guarantees. We want to see the outcome before we take the risk. We want the confirmation before the commitment. But that's not how faith works. God rarely shows you the entire picture in advance. He gives you just enough light for the next step, and when you take that step in obedience, the next one becomes clear. That's how God builds your faith, step by step, door by door, one act of trust at a time. Think of Abraham. God told him to leave everything, his land, his family, his comfort zone, and go to a place he would show him, not a place with a name, not a place with coordinates, just a place I will show you. Abraham didn't know the outcome. He didn't know the challenges ahead, but he knew the one who was calling, and that was enough. He walked through the door without needing to know what was on the other side. That's faith. Many people stand frozen in front of open doors because they can't see what's beyond them. They ask, what if I fail? What if I'm not ready? What if it doesn't work out the way I hope? And those are real fears, but they cannot be what drives your decisions. If God is leading, then the unknown is not a threat, it's an invitation. It's not something to fear, it's something to step into, knowing that He goes before you. Sometimes the door God opens won't make sense in the moment. It may not look impressive, it may even look risky, but if He says go, then faith says yes. You may walk into a season that stretches you, challenges you, humbles you. You may walk into a place where your comfort is stripped and your faith is tested. But every time you walk through a door He opens, you walk deeper into His plan, His purpose, and His presence. God never promised clarity. He promised His presence. He didn't say it would all make sense. He said He would never leave you. And if He's with you, then you don't need to know everything ahead. You just need to know that the next step is obedience. That obedience is what unlocks the blessing, not comfort, not certainty, obedience. If you're waiting until you have all the answers before you move, you'll stay stuck. If you demand full understanding before you act, you may miss the very opportunity God has prepared for you. The open door isn't about what's behind it, it's about who opened it. And if He opened it, then it's for your good. We often romanticize faith as a feeling, but real faith is a decision. It's saying yes while your hands are still trembling. It's walking through a door with questions in your heart, but trust in your spirit. It's choosing to move even when fear tells you to freeze. That's where growth happens. That's where miracles begin. That's where transformation takes place. Not when everything is clear, but when everything is uncertain and you go anyway. God rarely gives the full picture because He wants us to lean on Him. If we knew everything, we'd stop seeking Him. If we had all the details, we'd rely on our own understanding. But faith keeps us close to the Shepherd. It keeps us listening, praying, depending. And in that dependence we find peace, not because we know what's next, but because we know who's leading. So don't wait for full certainty. Don't delay your obedience while waiting for comfort. If the door is open and God is prompting you to step, then step. Not because you see the whole path, but because you trust the one who does. Delay is not denial. Just because something hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't. We live in a world that moves fast. Instant updates, instant access, instant gratification. And when something doesn't happen on our timeline, we assume something is wrong. We start to question the promise, the process, and even the one who made the promise. But God doesn't operate on our schedule. He's never late, and He's never in a rush. His timing is perfect, even when it doesn't feel convenient. When God delays, it's never without purpose. There's always something He's working on either in you, around you, or in the situation itself. Sometimes the delay is preparation. You're asking for the door to open, but He knows you're not ready to walk through it yet. You see delay, He sees development. He's strengthening your character, deepening your trust, refining your motives. And if you try to force it before the time is right, you may end up with something that looks like a blessing, but weighs like a burden. Other times, the delay is protection. What you're praying for might not be wrong. It just might be wrong for right now. God sees the full picture. He knows the people involved, the timing that will bring the most fruit, and the unseen battles you don't even know are being fought on your behalf. If he's holding something back, it's because he sees something you don't. Trust that there's also delay for alignment. Sometimes it's not about you needing more preparation. It's about everything else being lined up. God is orchestrating things behind the scenes. He's moving hearts, shifting circumstances, creating divine connections. You may think nothing is happening, but in the heavenlies everything is happening. And when the time is right, it will happen suddenly, because he's been aligning it all along. Don't let delay make you doubt. Don't let waiting steal your worship. What God promised you is still alive. Just because the door hasn't opened yet doesn't mean it's closed. And just because you haven't seen movement doesn't mean he's been silent. He's never inactive. He's always working, even when you can't see it. The enemy loves to use delay to plant lies. He whispers that God forgot, that he's punishing you, that you missed your chance. But those are lies, not truth. The truth is, God's timing is not just about what you get. It's about who you become. And who you become while you wait is just as important as what you're waiting for. Some of the greatest moves of God in Scripture came after long periods of silence. Joseph waited in prison. David waited for the throne. Sarah waited for a child. But when God moved, he moved with purpose. He didn't forget. He didn't change his mind. The delay wasn't the end of the story. It was the setup for fulfillment. So don't rush the process. Don't despise the wait. And don't confuse silence with absence. Delay is often the space where your faith grows deepest, your character is shaped strongest, and your trust becomes real. God doesn't waste time. He uses it, and when the appointed time comes, no delay will matter, because when he opens the door, it will be worth every second you waited. So hear this clearly: the doors God has chosen for you, no man can block, no enemy can steal, no mistake can cancel, and no delay can destroy. He is the one who holds the keys, not your past, not your fears, not your circumstances. If the door hasn't opened yet, trust that he's still writing the story. And if one has closed, believe that he's protecting what you cannot see. Don't waste your strength forcing what God has already shut or fearing what he's already handled. Rest in this unshakable truth. God has already chosen your doors. All you have to do is walk with him through them,